as a child, as you learn to walk, as you learn to talk, as you learn to run, what was the next other thing which made you overjoyed? Is it learning to ride a bicycle? Great. There was a television series in the US which most children loved. Children from 6 years to 15 years loved the television series, and it was called Captain Kangaroo. This Captain Kangaroo was sponsored by a cycle company called Schwinn. And Schwinn did certain things very intelligently. The titular character in Captain Kangaroo had subtly sometimes and strongly at times had advertised for the Schwinn bicycles. They were children who grew up watching this television episodes. It was aired every morning, weekdays. There were children who grew up watching those episodes, and as they grew up, after some time, their children started watching it, because this Captain Kangaroo went on for 30 years. And they were kids. They nagged their parents to buy a bicycle, a Schwinn bicycle. For this 12-year-old boy who lived in a single-room cottage in Louisville, Kentucky, getting a Schwinn bicycle was his biggest dream at that age. So he prodded his parents and somehow, after many days, got a red-colored Schwinn bicycle. There was a Columbia auditorium which was very close to his house. He could have just gone by walk, but nevertheless, having had a bicycle, he rode the bicycle there. There was a home expo, the Louisville Annual Home Expo running there. So he parked his bicycle, went into the auditorium. I want to tell you something. The tagline, which was advertised by Bob Keeshan, who was playing the titular character of Captain Kangaroo, was, in every poster, it was, "Rides better, lasts longer." But unfortunately, the second tagline did not apply to this boy when he came out of the auditorium. Yes, his bicycle was stolen. He was feeling very disappointed. At first, he was hopeful. He went around the Columbia Auditorium trying to find if it was somewhere around there. He became very tired, and then he lost hopes. He became very angry, disappointed, and he sat on the steps of the Columbia Auditorium and started to cry aloud. A passerby happened to see this boy crying, and he said, "There is a policeman down in the basement of this very same Columbia Auditorium. Go and complain to him." This 12-year-old boy, I want to name him now to reveal the suspense. This 12-year-old boy is the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali. He went downstairs and met the Sergeant Joe Martin and complained to him. And he said, "I want to book the guy who had stolen my bicycle." He was very angry. After hearing a volley of threats, now Joe Martin said, "Okay, but if you really want to hit the guy, you have to learn to fight. Do you know that?" Now, if this Joe Martin had run a boxing gym in the ground floor, because boxing was his passion, he had run the boxing gym in the ground floor of the Columbia Auditorium. The next day, this new student, Muhammad Ali, enrolled for his boxing class. And for the next 6 years, he was so passionate and he learned everything. And you know, the rest is history for Muhammad Ali. Because he won the Olympic gold medal. And the boxing magazine, The Ring, had rated him #1 of the legendary heavyweight boxing champions of all eras. ESPN had rated him #2 of all the fights that Muhammad Ali participated in. Which was the biggest fight? That fight is the fight that he refused to fight. It was 1967, a few years after Muhammad Ali had won his Olympic gold medal. In 1967, on April 28th, he was called by the American Army. That was a period when the US was waging a war against Vietnamese. He was called by the American army, and he was required to be inducted in the army. There was no way that he can say no. Muhammad Ali said, no. Why should I go and fight against those poor and hungry Vietnamese? They haven't robbed anything from me. They haven't killed my father or mother. Why should I go and fight with them? My conscience does not allow me to fight with them. So now the district judge turned angry. Then he gave him a sentence. He sentenced him to 5 years of imprisonment. He stripped him of all his medals, and Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing for the next 3 years and with a hefty fine. Muhammad Ali refused to take that order. He appealed in the Supreme Court because for him, he didn't want to fight. Even though he is talented, he didn't want to take on that fight. Then initially, the sentiments of the Americans was more on encouraging the war. But after a few years, a lot of people understood that this war is unnecessary. And Muhammad Ali grew in his stature as a humanitarian. And the guy who was sentenced by the court was then invited by more than one American president as a guest. And today, and many years later, if you want to see the Columbia Auditorium in the Spalding University premises, you will see a replica of his red swing bicycle on the entrance arch. And that is the way this hero has been honored and remembered as a humanitarian. What does this story hold for working professionals like you and me? Number one, everyone, are you feeling that you're not enjoying your job, you're not satisfied, you get stagnated today in the career? Everyone has had a red bike moment in their career. Recall your last red bike moment. How aggressive did you feel at that time? How did you react to the situations? What skills did you learn? What was the level of performance on that day? Recall that. There are people who were desperate for searching for a job. But a few years after the job, they start hating the job. They don't realize the value of it. So always recall your red bike moment. It will suit your work life. Number two. The second point is learning. People think it is for upgrading themselves. It is for getting promoted to a new role. Not necessarily. Learning is fundamentally required for self-defense. So use any learning as a learning is not a vitamin, it is a vaccine. So use learning skills for your self-defense. Number three, Muhammad Ali became greater in stature. He grew higher after he just had to be stripped of his titles. You may have your own titles, your own stickers. One could be that you're the most well-informed leader in your organization. You may be the smartest person in the industry. But take a moment to wipe off, strip all these titles. If there is somebody in your organization, regardless of their seniority, when they say some information that you already know, forget that you have all these medals around you, but still learn to listen. If that happens, you will get admiration much higher than your title itself, and that will sweeten your work life. And as a cultural president, it is going to sweeten the work life of many others. I hope you loved this story. For more and more inspiring stories, connect with me on Facebook, Author Venkat. Connect with me on Instagram, Author Venkat, and the YouTube channel. Looking forward to meeting you next week with yet another fantastic story. Thank you.